Now, wildfires continue to menace some communities in the Northwest Territories. Evacuation orders are in effect for the Katlodiche First Nation and the town of Hay River. Residents in both communities were ordered to leave yesterday. The situation appears most dire inside the First Nation. Meanwhile, Yellowknife has opened an evacuation center, and that's where we find the CBC's Juanita Taylor. So, Juanita, what more can you tell us about this wildfire?
Well, Andrew, we can tell you that approximately 15 buildings have been damaged in the Katlodiche First Nation Reserve, including homes and the First Nations group home. Now, the Katlodiche First Nation is located about 20 kilometers from the town of Hay River. Right now, there have been no reported damages in the town of Hay River. We know that 6 fire crews are on the ground. They're installing sprinkler kits, and of course, they are fighting the fire. There are another 6 fire crews on the way. We also know that 3 helicopters are assisting, with more being mobilized, and as well air tankers are assisting in this fight. Now, Andrew, we learned yesterday that this particular fire, it is most likely caused by a person.
And Juanita, you are at the evacuation center. What are people there telling you?
Well, Andrew, what we know here at the evacuation center is that over 300 people have registered so far. 300 people, of course, from the Katlodiche First Nation as well as from Hay River. We also know that there were about 320 cots that are set up here in case any of those folks don't have any other choice for accommodation here in Yellowknife. And we know that those evacuees do not know when they can return home, or some of them don't know the status of the condition of their home. Now, this afternoon, the Premier of the Northwest Territories, Carolyn Cochrane, came here to check out the evacuation center, and she joins us now to tell us more. So, Premier, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Can you just tell us in general, what is your government doing to help these evacuees during this difficult time?
Thank you. Yes, I want to start by saying how devastating this is and how much not only myself and the government, but every resident in the Northwest Territories is paying attention and is reaching out to help. So, it is heartbreaking. The government of Northwest Territories, we actually were about a month premature in our forest fires, so we've set up, we've been working as diligently as possible. Our emergency management is in operation, working with communities. I'm trying to organize meetings with Indigenous governments like we did in COVID, the floods, so we'll be starting that process again. There is the evacuation center, as said. Right now, currently, my understanding is we have over 700 people registered. Only 170 currently are in the evacuation center that are needing support through us. But this is going to be long-term, and, we've seen that with the floods, so again, my heart goes out. We're going to be looking at long-term arrangements for people that don't have other options, and we'll do the best we can to make sure that we can replace the homes that have been destroyed. But again, I really need to stress, right now, it's really high risk. People are doing their jobs to still combat the fire. It's still risky. So please, I know that people want to know what's going on, but stay out of the area. The roads are closed, the fire crews are fighting, and we'll have to go in and assess the community before we let people back in. The other thing I think I really want to stress is there's so much information out there, and sometimes misinformation, because people aren't sure. Stories change. But go on to the Katlodiche Facebook or the Hay River Facebook page or the GNWT Public Safety. That's what we're here for, and we'll give you the most up-to-date information to all people as possible.
Thank you, Premier. And I just want to quickly ask as well, what have you learned coming here today about the fire, or what evacuees are telling you?
It's heartbreaking. I think that 2 things I've learned today coming here is people's, first of all, the stories, the losses, but more importantly, the resilience, and people knowing that together, by working together, we'll get through this. So the North was known. We've seen that with COVID. We've seen that with the floods. Once again, we're calling on everyone else. Please help your neighbor. Please help us, everyone, and we'll do our best. But it takes a community to support a community.
Thank you, Premier.
Thank you.
So, Andrew, what we also know is that, it has been a very dry spring. So officials here in the Northwest Territories are predicting a rough year coming up when it comes to wildfires. And Andrew, I also want to mention as well that the people of Hay River and on the Catlo Deche First Nation, that they've had a rough spring so far. They of course had the risk of flooding earlier this spring, and of course with what they're seeing today, their community and their First Nation experiencing a wildfire. Andrew?
Yeah, some real tough times for the folks there. Juanita, thank you. The CBC's Juanita Taylor live in Yellowknife.